The day it was, we had a rocking day one of the summit. Let's give every one of us a big round of applause. I can see Madhuri ma'am and Mali sir. If you can just say good morning to everyone. I can see Kavya Nidhi ma'am.
Good morning all. Good morning awardees. Good morning. Good morning everybody.
Good morning everyone.
Good morning. Good morning Kavya. Good morning Anuja ma'am. Thank you for being here at least in the morning for just the presentation ceremony, and we look forward to hearing from you all. India. Vaibhav sir, welcome. Thank you so much for joining in.
Sorry for the delay.
No, not at all.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. So let me begin. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone on behalf of our chairperson, Dr. Tarita Shankar, and our group director, Professor Chetan Wakalkar, the directors of the Indira Group, and the IGI family members. The live telecast of this grand ceremony is on Zoom, Facebook, YouTube for thousands of our students and for our alumni members. Thanks to all our social media and print media partners for all pre and post event coverage. Now, in the honor of a great nation and to salute the fighting spirit of our health workers, our farmers, our army, political leaders, and to each and everyone fighting the pandemic, let us rise and sing the national anthem of India. Can we have the national anthem film, please?
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्रविड़ उत्कल बंगा
विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा
उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाए तव जय गाथा मंगल नायक जय हे
भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 जय
Good morning,
Thank you,
Sachin
everyone.
sir.
Please
He is
sit.
also
I
joined
would
us.
request all other members to please mute yourself so that we can have a seamless ceremony. And Indira Group of Institute was founded by a visionary leader, Dr. Tarita Shankar, along with her younger brother, Professor Chetan Wakalkar, in the year 1994, with just 60 students and 3 employees. And today, it has more than 12,000 students and 1,000 employees. To know more about the Indira Group of Institutes, Pune, I present to you the Indira Corporate Film, please.
Indira Group of Institutes celebrate its 25 years of excellence in education. With 13 institutions and more than 12,000 students, Indira has earned tremendous appreciation for imparting value-based education in India and abroad. Indira firmly believes in the economic independence of individuals and aims to inspire students to create a niche for themselves through industry-academia interface and strong tie-ups with thousands of corporate houses across the globe. Faculty members are chosen not only for their academic achievements, but also for their global experience and insight. Interaction with the experienced and renowned personalities tremendously enhance the morale of students by sharing their vast knowledge and experience, thus fostering the spirit of leadership amongst them.
I have been in Indira ever since my first grade, and I was introduced to art by my art teacher here at Indira itself. And I have a passion for art, anime, manga and Japanese. There's a lot of great interaction between your teacher and they really help you focus on what is the most important for you.
Indira is ranked amongst top educational groups in India and have received various awards and accolades in international summits and top grades by the National Board of Accreditation and NAAC.
It's a matter of great pride and immense satisfaction
for my team and myself that we have created, sustained and grown such a beautiful educational brand. We have been able to make a difference to the nation and in some way, albeit small, have contributed to the nation building and making India what it is today.
Congratulations to me and to my entire team at Indira Group of Institutions. It's like a dream that has come true, and the dream that was being seen for the last 24 years has entered into its 25th year. The Indira Group of Institutes this year enters into its 25th year. That is the Silver Jubilee year. We launched in 1994, and today it's 24 years that we've completed and entered into the 25th year. It's a feeling that that one cannot imagine. I mean, especially when someone like me is started 25 years back with absolutely nothing in my pocket, with just a dream that yes, I have to do this, and never imagining or never thinking that I have to make it so big. And I personally want to thank everybody through this opportunity that I'm getting today over here to say that everyone who associated with Indira, a big thank you to everybody for believing in us and making us take that extra step in becoming better and better each day.
Joining Indira is not just joining an institute. It's a lifetime membership of limitless possibilities and a journey of aspiration to inspiration. Indira Group of Institutes proudly celebrate 25 years of excellence.
Thank you. The theme for the Indira Brand Slam 2021 is From Surviving to Thriving, reimagining the post-COVID-19 return. Yes, there is fear, but there doesn't have to be hate. Yes, there is isolation, but there doesn't have to be loneliness. Yes, there is panic, but there doesn't have to be meanness. Yes, there is sickness, but there doesn't have to be the disease of the soul. Life is not about how many rocks you have hit to reach your destination. It's about how you have made it your way through it. And I guess what we are going through right now is a classic example of this. But don't forget, there is hope, and one day everything will end. Are you prepared? Let's have a look at this video clip.
I know many of you are going through such stress and fear right now, but let me point something out to you. We're all going to get back to work eventually. And the smart people right now, you know what you're doing? You're preparing, you're growing, right? You're training so that when they let us back to work, you're at full speed the day we go back, bigger, better, more equipped, more capable than you've ever been to make a bigger impact, to get after your dreams in a way you never have. You could use this as an occasion to be preparing, to be training.
Everybody want to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do. What are real beasts doing right now? We're surviving. We're surviving. We're not giving up. We're not giving in. We're not letting our mind go idle. We're not letting our time go idle. We're in beast mode. We're trying to stay active. We're trying to stay busy. We're trying to keep the blood flowing. We're trying not to get gangrene. We're trying to stay strong. So stay in beast mode, y'all. It's a mental game now. Stay mentally strong.
Your workouts in the house, you're training when we get back. You're gonna be better, more energy, stronger than you've ever been. You're listening to podcasts like mine, reading books. You're growing right now. You're using this as a time to be a totally different version of you when you come out of this. You're preparing for your moment when they let us get back, and they're going to, and when they do, you want to be at full speed day one. You can't go from 0 to 10 if you're laying around. Prepare, train, grow. And when they let us back, you're bigger, better than you've ever been to make your dreams come true. Use this time for that.
How much time do you spend working on you? How much time do you spend every day working on your dream? How many books have you read? What new skill or knowledge have you acquired? What kind of investment have you made in you? You've got to make some conscious effort to begin to work to develop you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Hope you liked it. Moving ahead, allow me to invite now the director of the flagship institute of Indira Group, Indira Institute of Management, Dr. Pandit Mali, to please address the gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present to you Dr. Pandit Mali.
Vivek, just check, am I audible? Am
Yes,
I audible?
sir.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Respected dignitaries on the virtual dais, the award winners of the day, my fellow directors, deputy directors, head of the departments, faculty, colleagues, and my student friends, a very good morning to one and all. And welcome to the 8th edition of Indira Brand Slam Summit and Awards 2021. At the outset, let me say a big thank you to all the award winners for accepting the awards and for making it for the show today. I also congratulate each one of them for this award. It would be my pleasure to read all the names individually and congratulate them individually. So we have amongst us today, Mr. Achint Setia from Myntra, Mr. Gunit Singh from Google, Mr. Vaibhav Kaju from Shiroz Money, Ms. Kavyanidhi Narayan from Cisco Systems, Mr. Ashish Tiwari from Future Generali Life Insurance, Ms. Dipali Nair from IBM, Mr. Anuj Mishra from Godrej Consumer Products Limited, and Mr. Kapil Gudu from Chroma, which is a data enterprise. So congratulations to each one of them and my best wishes to each one of them. And I also welcome on behalf of the chairperson, Dr. Tarita Shankar, and the group director, Professor Chetan Vakalkar, and entire Indira family, to all of them. Well, let me put in the perspective of starting the platforms like Indira Brand Slam Summit Awards, or we have other properties like Marketing Excellence Awards, we have HR Excellence Awards, we have Indira Super Achievers Awards. So the idea and the thought process behind instituting such awards is that we all know that the corporates and the business leaders working in the corporates, their basic objective is profits and making money. We are all aware of that, and the corporations are basically established for that. But is it only about making money, or is it something beyond that? So I would like to pull a thread, from the yesterday's yesterday's discussions, where Mr. Sandeep Gupta, he mentioned about, business of purpose. And I think that thread was followed by most of the speakers yesterday. So I'm pulling that discussion, and it's not about only making the money. I think what the business leaders and the entrepreneurs do is, apart from making money, that they also make the consumers comfortable. They give a solution to their pain points. So that is number one thing that they are doing for the society. Number two, they are also generating employment. We all are aware that in India, majority of the employment is given by the private sector. And we must acknowledge this fact. And we must recognize their efforts. We must acknowledge this. And therefore, Indira Group thought about establishing such platforms where we would award the industry leaders, entrepreneurs, for their efforts for this tremendous contribution. If you ask me today, I feel like their efforts and contribution deserves Nobel Prize actually. And I have a reason to say that. Nobel Prize for peace, the peace doesn't exist unless the bellies are full. And business leaders and entrepreneurs exactly do that. They ensure that the bellies of the masses are full. And therefore, they deserve this kind of awards. And that is the reason That is the perspective behind instituting such awards. And my dear students, you're all very lucky that in the first or second month of your program itself, you're getting to listening to such wonderful stalwarts from corporate world. I can see the galaxy of the stars from the corporate world sitting around here. So once again, congratulations to all the award winners and wishing you all the best. And let's sit back and relax and enjoy the sessions. Yesterday we had a wonderful day. Mr. Raji Thomas has already mentioned, and we'll have a similar day today also. So wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Over to Dr. Rita now.
All right, before I hand over the entire ceremony to Dr. Rita Dangre, I would like to just mention we're going to begin the virtual award ceremony now, the Indira Marketing Excellence Award. And to introduce Dr. Rita Dangre, she is one of the dynamic faculties we have at Indira Institute of Management. Rita ma'am, if you're there, please come online and take over. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, I'm here. Yeah. Thank you, Raji sir. Excellence is not about being the best, but doing the best. Disruptions in the business world are like wormholes of science fiction where usual rules of time and space do not apply. COVID-19 pandemic added altogether different level of disturbance in the pre-existing volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous VUCA world. But as they say, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. During these challenging times, there emerged outliers who saw opportunity in diversity. Their will to win, desire to succeed, urge to try their best, helped them unlock the door to excellence. And hence, we at IGI are glad to acknowledge and appreciate their commitment and dedication to the desired task by awarding them with prestigious Indira Marketing Excellence Awards 2021. On this note, let's start with the award ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and join me in welcoming Mr. Achint Setia, Vice President Marketing at Myntra. This award is also presented to marketing team of Myntra. Congratulations, Achint sir and the entire marketing team at Myntra.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rita. It's a big honor and pleasure, and it's very humbling, first of all. So I've got the trophy with me. If you can see it, it's right here. It's a beautiful one. I think the Zoom background is hiding it, but I'm still trying to show you parts of it. What
Yes, sir, we are able to see that, yes.
Yes, it's a wonderful gesture. And I think more than the award, it is just your recognition and acceptance that there is something good we have been able to do for India, for the community, which is what keeps us also alive and excited. There are a lot of students here who are going to start their careers very soon and will have a long way to go. And my only request to them is never ever work for awards. Awards will come by your way. I think just work on things you are passionate about and find a purpose to what you're doing, and it'll emerge over a period of time. It may not start in your first job or the second job, but it'll emerge if you constantly think about it. And I think then your satisfaction is what is the most important thing. Awards will come and go. I think they are all momentary happiness for a lot of us, but what you're doing for yourself, for the society, I think that's the most important thing. And this award is actually for my team and for all our customers, without whom we are nobodies, and who have really helped us to become who we are today. So thank you a lot. And I wish you the very best for the event going forward.
Thank you, sir. Looking forward to your session soon. Our next awardee is Head Marketing and Creative Solutions at Google, Mr. Guneet Singh. Guneet sir will join us at the time of his session, so we'll get to hear from him that time. Now we have co-founder, Shiro's Money, Mr. Vaibhav Kaju. Vaibhav sir. Sir, may I request you to share your thoughts with us? Vaibhav sir, if you are here. Yeah.
Vaibhav sir was there, probably is having a problem.
Yeah, Vaibhav sir can unmute himself now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. So technology
It's okay,
glitches
sir.
happen. Somehow the host was not permitting to unmute, so there could have been some super, override button. But thanks a lot. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Yeah. So I will be showcasing something which again Zoom's thing can't allow. But thanks a lot. I can see and I know what I can see, and others would not be aware. But people who are seeing it online, I'm sorry, the background effect is not permitting. Thanks a lot for this award. Who would have said so? Could hear Achint for some time, but like I said, there was a glitch that happened, and I would agree with him. Don't work for awards. I was not aware that this award would be happening in my life when I started my career, and multiple other awards that I've received. None of them happen because you were working for them. All of them happen because you were working for some cause which led you to that path. And like Mr. Pandit was speaking about. Do your goal and peace and other things which come along. One thing which I leave the students with is do your goal in such a way that at the end of the day, you can sleep peacefully thinking that you did something good. Maybe if not for society, but at least for one of your customers or one of your colleagues in office or someone outside your own circle. So if you can do good for any one person, it may be your driver who, if you have taken Ola or Uber or a cab. So anyone around you, if you can do some good for them, that is good enough, and that will help you come back as a better person next day. So thanks a lot for this award, and thank you for technology permitting me to take this award sitting miles away from you. And I will also leave one more thought that had this pandemic not happened, the technological progress that we have seen, things were available with us, but we were not using them the way we could have used, and now we are getting the opportunity to use it the right way. So thankfully, and I get an opportunity to listen to people from Myntra, from Google, from Godrej, from all other places who are there in one go without going out of the comfort zone of my home or my hometown. So thanks a lot, Indira, for getting this all arranged. Thank you.
Very well expressed, sir. Thank you so much. Looking forward to your session. Next, we have Marketing Head, Collaboration Business, Cisco, India and SAARC, Cisco Systems, Ms. Kavyanidhi Narayan. Ma'am. Ma'am, please share your thoughts. Having received this award, how are you feeling at this very moment?
Sure. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Congratulations to Indira Group of Institute on completing 25 years of education. Thank you very much for inviting us today and for recognizing us for the Marketing Excellence Award. I am privileged and honored to be part of the summit today. Thank you, faculty, teachers, organizers, and students. This event is executed very well. It's not easy to host virtual events. I know I lead collaboration and I've been doing a lot of events. So bringing a large audience together, bringing everybody together, it's not easy. So wonderful effort by all of you. And what I would say, a message to the students is that I've always believed in having the right balance, and there is no shortcut to success. So please continue to working hard in whatever you do, and wishing all of you the very best. Congratulations to everybody once again. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good to hear that from you, and looking forward to your session in the afternoon. Next awardee is Senior Vice President, Marketing and Digital at Future Generali India Life Insurance Company Limited, Mr. Ashish Tiwari. Ashish sir will join us in the afternoon session. Our next awardee is Director Marketing, India and South Asia, CMO, IBM, Ms. Dipali Nair. Dipali ma'am will also join us in the afternoon session. Now we have Vice President and Head Marketing for Personal Care and Hygiene from Godrej Consumer Products Limited, Ms. Anuja Mishra. Anuja ma'am is here. Ma'am, yeah.
My heartfelt gratitude to the Indira Group of Institutes, for conferring this award on me. It's an absolute privilege. To all the students out there, I just want to say that these are really your golden years. You're fortunate to be part, of an institute that's giving you so many opportunities, so many avenues. My only, suggestion to all of you would be to, keep your minds open. Do not conform, to conventional wisdom always. Look at different ways of doing things, and look at different ways of thinking. And like the topic that I will also be speaking about this afternoon, continuously, look at ways of innovating, in your own lives. I just want to, show, the trophy and, being a proud recipient of it, absolutely humbled. Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor. And I think it's a moment of nostalgia for me. It kind of takes me back, to my years of education. And, as I look back, I very strongly believe that, it's my alma mater, my teachers, who are actually, deserving of this award. And I, dedicate this award, to all my teachers out there. While it's not Teachers' Day today, but it's Teachers' Day every day. So there's a lot to learn, from your faculty members, from each other. And I think just keep the spirit of learning alive. Don't be in a hurry, to sort of get to, a corporate job or whatever. I think make every day count, and become a little more entrepreneurial in your ways of thinking. That's really going to go a long way. Thank you so much. Privilege being here.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for those inspiring words, and indeed looking forward to your session in the afternoon. And now, last but not the least, we have with us General Manager, Marketing at Chroma, a Tata Enterprise, Mr. Kapil Buduk. Sir will join us in the afternoon session. And with this, we conclude the award ceremony. And once again, I congratulate all the award winners, their team and organization for their resilience, commitment, and for not only surviving, but thriving in these times. Now, it's time to listen from each one of them. I'm privileged to introduce our first speaker of the day. He is Vice President Marketing at Myntra, Mr. Achint Setia. So looks after the marketing vertical for Myntra as a vice president. He drives marketing initiatives across brand, content, loyalty program, and digital marketing. In his career of over 15 years, he has had a rich experience across e-commerce, media, management consulting, and software development. He is a big space enthusiast and an avid student of human creativity, and that's interesting. Today, Sir will share his thoughts on the topic, building India's leading fashion commerce brand. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rita. It feels very honored, and I feel very old when someone calls me sir. Not used to that on a regular basis. But I'm very happy to be given this opportunity to share. And what I want to share is something that's very close to my heart, which is how we have built the brand Myntra in the last 1 year in the pandemic. That's very fresh and maybe very relevant to a lot of marketing enthusiasts, in the student community that are listening to this now. So I'll just share my screen and then start the discussion. Yeah, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So again, good morning, everybody. All the students, faculty, and my colleagues from the industry. I'm going to talk about Myntra, the brand, which is one of the leading fashion commerce brands in the country. And I'm hoping most of you would have bought at least once from Myntra in the last 1 year for sure. That's something that we have been riding on hoping a lot more people buy in the online world as we move forward. And as one of my colleagues also said here, right, this pandemic has really accelerated how technology adoption has happened across the country. In fact, not just in metros, which was not imaginable 6 months back. So maybe 3 years have been compressed in these 9 months in terms of the acceleration. But having said that, the fundamental principles of thinking and building a brand don't change. Consumers look at brands with the same expectation, with the same authenticity, um, ability to be trustworthy, and giving them something which is meaningful. So those are universal principles which are always on, and it's just made a lot of brands think harder in these times when business is not happening. Our business was not happening for almost a month and a half when the lockdown started. So what did we have to do at that time, and then how did we emerge from that? And the story that we were able to tell our customers is something I would want to share with you in the next 30 minutes. So firstly, I think just to give you a perspective, and I've also tried to make this a little more sequential for a lot of students to understand this, in the way you may be thinking about marketing or will read marketing in the next few years. So the first thing is, looking at the market scenario and what is the competition for us. And when we look at competition for Myntra, it is competition on two counts. It is competition on access to fashion, which is through both online and offline players. And it's competition on knowledge of fashion, which is largely coming through the social networks. Instagram being the number one there, YouTube and Pinterest, right? All of them. And many more things on social and internet, which bring knowledge when it comes to fashion. So that's the space of where consumers' mind space today is occupied when they are thinking about fashion, even before they think of buying fashion, for that matter. And what's on table stakes is all the players are very smart in giving attractive deals and discounts. Consumers have started to expect that e-commerce is built on the premise of giving a lot more deals and discounts. So that's not something that you can differentiate beyond a point with. Trends has become commonplace. Everybody offers what's latest in fashion, and they claim to have the best trends. Service promise of faster delivery, returns and exchanges, and customer support that's helpful. I think this has again become sort of hygiene and table stakes for a lot of companies who have to compete at scale, especially in the e-commerce space. And therefore, the question is, how do we find our different? How do we find our golden egg amongst so many similar looking propositions to be able to stand out and to be able to talk to customers in a meaningful manner that we achieve certain objectives? So that's the context and the conundrum at the same time, for Myntra, the brand. Before we go to how to solve for this, it's important to understand who is the customer we are talking to, like in any marketing problem. And our customers have a few distinct characteristics about them. They are very, very discerning about their choices. They know what they want to do specifically at times, very, very specific at times in terms of how they want to curate a look for themselves, especially with the younger girls, or they know the space in which they want to go and spend time or spend their wallet. So much more sharper, less easily influenced by someone saying something till they find a meaningful relevance for them in the same context. They are keen to learn fashion. And I think this is an important point because India is still a country where we are very nascent in our understanding on fashion. We are inspired by what the celebs are wearing or what we are seeing the trends or reading the trends on social or what's happening outside in Hollywood and et cetera, et cetera. But the nuance of how do you customize it to the conventional wisdom in the country, right? There are still a large portion of our families are extremely conventional. And how do you mix and match so that you can able to wear something which is trendy looking, but still fits in the scheme of things and not becoming extremely standing out or disrespectful is something people are still not very sure of. So that's the other thing that's going on in the consumer's mind. The third thing is, how do they perceive loyalty? And it's an important part, concept, not just for Myntra, the brand, or fashion commerce, but generally for all brands. Loyalty is a lot about consumers are moving to how do you make me feel and how well you understand me, more than what you just give me transactionally. And I think this is an area that's in constant development, and brands which have done this well have been able to crack that one very strong emotion with the customer that makes them come again and again back to the platform or the brand. And this consumer is very impatient, right? They need instant gratification. It's as much as we want to talk about take your time and it'll happen eventually. But people, because of the access to social media, where you're getting instant gratification and likes, it's also unfortunate that we are becoming more and more impatient as we move forward. So while we have to be cautious of that for ourselves, but we at the same time have to understand the larger consumer is not as patient as they were, maybe 20 years back or 10 years back. And that brings to three key learnings for us, or three key insights on consumers looking to kill boredom. And there was a lot of boredom in the last 1 year, as you would imagine, sitting at homes, and you were always in an environment. So there was something you wanted to break out of. They are willing to learn something new, and comes to fashion in particular, and in life in general also. And they want to get inspired. They want to hear positive stories of inspiration and want to feel good about themselves and the society in general. So that is the context of who the consumer is and what they are looking at. Now, with this context, we came to the core insight after doing a fair bit of research across multiple consumer sets and markets and geographies, is that at the very core, what we wear greatly influences the way we feel and carry ourselves. Our clothes therefore represent our occasions, experiences, and confidences of everyday life. In a nutshell, fashion is an emotion in every memorable moment. So think of it as follows. If you imagine or introspect on something that was a very favorite moment of yours in the past, whether you were in a marriage ceremony, or you were just getting to your college for the first time, or your first job. I think one thing which was always there is, what should I wear? Right. And a lot of times we often remember what we had worn then. And some of these clothes also we keep for long, right? This is what I had worn then. This is what, there are memories associated with every piece of cloth. And that's the role fashion plays at a very, very deep level. It is not just about being happy. It is also about creating that confidence to be able to deal with that moment better. While there are a lot of other things which come to get there, but fashion has a role to play, in moving that forward and moving the needle on removing self-doubt when it comes to winning the moment. So that's at the core what the consumer insight that we were able to unearth. And therefore, what is our different? And this is a question you should ask when you think about a brand. What is your different as a brand? For Myntra, it was, how can we be the fashion expert and enabler? And both these words are very important for us, and I'll talk about that in detail. To style your wonderful moments, right? Be the fashion expert and enabler to style your wonderful moments. It is your moments. It is not Myntra's created moments. You have chosen the moments. We'll just play the role of, maneuvering some of these things from a fashion choice standpoint and try and make it the best moment for you, right? So that's the space that we are operating in. And we decided to move forward in telling our stories to the consumer. Now, before, again, as a basic guiding principle, starting a campaign or starting a communication or a conversation with the consumer, it's important to really pin down what are the non-negotiable principles. And for us, it starts with the campaign objective. Every campaign has a different objective, and brand building itself is a very long multi-year campaign. And the objective for us is not just to build certain marketing metrics like top of mind recall and unaided awareness, and some of these you will read if you haven't in your marketing courses. But at the very core of the business is, how do we generate intent to download and browse the app or the web, the Myntra platform? And it will come by, or it will lead into three clear outcomes, right? It will lead into increase in downloads and installs of the app, increase the traffic coming on the platform or the number of users coming on the platform. And eventually it should increase the customer acquisitions, which is people converting to purchasers or transactors. So this is a very sharp objective when it comes to an e-commerce platform. It could be different for different brands. For us, this is what we mean when we look into a brand campaign. And therefore, what's important for us is always to highlight three things in any brand conversation. One is there have to be clear reasons to believe the claim which I just spoke about earlier, to be the fashion expert and an enabler to style your wonderful moments. So that's the claim. And there have to be clear reasons for consumers to believe, why should I trust you? That's what you're saying. Second is emotion is extremely important because that's when you make the connect with the consumer. But at the same time, there have to be tangibility of what you're talking about and the tangibility of very specific benefits that you offer to the customer so that the intent gets created. Otherwise, they will feel good about it and they will move on in life. And there is the objectives that I've listed on the left, they will not really happen eventually. And for us, particularly, Myntra had been a very, very strong metro brand, but we wanted to grow in smaller towns always. This pandemic also enforced us to accelerate our plans because a lot of people in smaller towns didn't have access to offline suddenly. So this was an opportunity, from a business standpoint. That was the third key principle that we wanted to ensure coming out of the campaign. Four pillars of the platform experience that we thought we should really, really strengthen as we go and talk to the consumers to support our vision, our mission, and our claim of being the fashion expert and the enabler. The first is on curation that's aspirational. By curation, I mean how do the selection of different fashion and beauty merchandise on the platform. How do we inspire the consumers and how do we advise them because they are seeking fashion learning, as I spoke about earlier? How do we reward our loyalists in a way that they feel connected to the brand? And lastly, how can we use technology? Because we are a tech platform, but technology that is cutting edge, that is really able to move the needle in terms of people's adoption and people's experience on the platform. So these were the four pillars. These are actually the reasons to believe that I spoke about earlier, because in absence of these, you are just talking in the air with the consumer, but when they land on the platform, they will see something which is completely not relatable or not as inspiring or exciting enough. So this is what had to be supported going into the communication. And I'll talk about the communication at the end, but I want to take you through what we did on the platform. So on the curation, this is something which has been our strength, where we are able to bring out a lot of trends from across the world, but contextualize it to the Indian market. We have an army of stylists internally in the organization who on a daily basis look at these trends and say what is trending today, what's trending on social, what's trending in other markets, what are the trends that are foreseeably coming to India in the next few days or the next few weeks or few months. And we actively build content and share with the consumers to learn about these. So that's the first piece. The second piece of curation is also, okay, what to adopt when, in what occasion, so in casual outing, in work, in parties, and so on and so forth. There are multiple such occasions that consumers are looking to adopt these trends. So simplifying and making it easier for them to make that choice, because there's always that issue of so many options being available, and how do you make it simpler for me? Because once you make it simpler, consumers are very, very simple people, right? They don't want decision making across multiple options. So this is what Netflix does so beautifully in recommendations, and that's what we try to do from a fashion perspective. Fashion advisory and inspiration. This is something we started a couple of years back. And the philosophy here is we want to become the #1 fashion advisor in the country, where we can really inspire people on becoming fashionistas. So we do two very different kinds of things at very different scales. The first is we do a lot of off-the-app content, a bunch of big and small IPs. Our biggest IPs, a show that you may have happened to watch, which we had curated internally in the organization, that's called Myntra Fashion Superstar. That was season 2 this time, which had come. And the idea here is it's the only show in the world where somebody's talking about how do you become a fashion influencer, right? Most of the fashion shows talk about becoming a great designer or becoming a great model, but no one talks about what every buddy with a phone in their hand want to become by putting a picture on social, which is becoming a fashion influencer in their own world, in a nano world, in the micro world, or in the macro world, depending on what their aspiration is. So this was the objective, and both the seasons have done very well for us. And what we focus on in this is not about the show per se, but about being able to talk about very, very relevant topics like gender diversity, topics like LGBTQ, topics like depression and anxiety, topics like body shaming, right, which are very relevant to the youth today. And how do we make some of these fashion aspirers to be able to express themselves, to be able to be proud of their themselves, despite everything that they may think is conventionally not appropriate, and then also be able to face a lot of criticism, because one of the big uh, responsibilities as an influencer is not just to influence people, but also to be able to manage criticism and trolling, which is very commonplace these days, as you're all aware of. So that's the sort of learning journey we take them through a variety of tasks. And that's one big IP that we do. The other is what we do on the platform, which you see on the right-hand side, that's called Myntra Studio. It's a one-stop guide for fashion hacks and tips. We have 1,000 plus influencers, around 1,100 influencers who we work with, who actually create content on what they are passionate about. What we just help them is give them some merchandise basis what they desire, and they just generate content in their own passion and interest, which we are able to use on our platform to inspire a lot of our customers and help them make that choice of what to buy, when to buy, and how to curate looks. There are around 3,000 plus content assets on the platform, and it is also personalized depending on your preferences. You can go and follow a bunch of these handles on what kind of the fashion that you are interested in, and we will provide you meaningful content experience around it. We also work with a lot of celebs and decoding celeb looks, decoding their airport looks, decoding how they perceive fashion, decoding their vulnerabilities, because fashion is not just about what you wear, it is about how you think as an individual as well, and that reflects in and manifests in what you wear eventually. So those are the things we bring to the table, from inspiring a lot of our consumers in thinking more holistically about fashion and not just from a clothing standpoint. The next one is loyalty, which I started with, and this is our loyalty program, which is Myntra Insider. The proposition here is we want to make you learn, we want to make you flaunt, we want to make you also get value, right? And all three are very important, learning being the first and foremost thing. So what we do from a learning standpoint is we have two big IPs. We have master classes where we work with some of the big Bollywood stylists who are often in the background, and all the credit is being given to the celebs. But we thought, let's bring the people in the background to the front and to the limelight. And they have curated beautiful master classes, educating users on what to wear, when to wear, in what occasions, what products look good, what is in trend, what's not in trend, for genders, for different sort of time periods and occasions. And this is something you can ask questions live with the stylist, and you can actually buy there and then. So that's one piece. The other is what you see on the right hand side, called the Myntra Insider Style Squad, which is again something that we germinated in the last 1 year, where we have tied up with a bunch of stylists and fashion influencers in the country. And you can sign up for a one-on-one styling session, because a lot of times it's very difficult after all your best efforts to decode what's happening in content. And if you want further very, very customized and nuanced insights, you can actually talk to somebody for an hour and have very pinpointed questions about yourself, your body, your fashion likings, and what you want to do with fashion. And then the outcome there is, of course, advisory on what you can buy, and what's the best way to curate a look in a certain budget, and so on and so forth, or anything that actually you want to ask. And the last piece is the flaunt piece, which is a very important piece on, we have a lot of our brands who are extremely big. Myntra has 5,000 plus brands on the platform, and a lot of them provide very meaningful experiences for the customers, whether it is meeting their stars, their brand ambassador or endorsers, or creating events where customers can come together and have an exciting get together with like-minded people. So we curate this for our insiders, our best customers, and we also make them feel they're on top of the world. So the girl you see here in the middle, I think she we did a styling for her at the house of Pataudi, at Pataudi's palace, Saif Ali Khan's and family's house, where we took them through a detour of the house, and then we did a styling session for them in person. They were able to talk about it because more than anything else, it really made them feel good. These were our 5 best customers we chose from millions of customers that we have. So we do a bunch of these things on and off for the customers, for the Myntra insiders, in fact. Tech is a very, very big part of what we do. So there are a few examples I've given, but this is actually endless. I can keep talking about it. I'll just talk about 2 things, the one on the left and the one on the extreme right. We have an AI technology called VOTA, which is nothing but, you could think of an advanced computer machine learning engine that serves through all the content images on fashion and also matches that with the transaction data to figure out in real time what is it that people are buying. What is it that they're liking, what is it that they are clicking, what is it that they are wishlisting, and not just on Myntra, but we are also extending this to other platforms across social and everywhere. And it can really predict with a lot of accuracy what will come in trend before it catches on. So this is something we use to prioritize a lot of our selection, what we showcase to the consumer, and also help our brands prioritize for what they should manufacture. This is also a technology that we are outsourcing to a bunch of our partners, very close partners, but really helps us stay on top of the game on what would really trend in the next few days or few weeks. On the extreme right, we have something called as a photo search, which is your Google Voice, but for fashion. So you can, typically people actually have this habit of reserving photographs that they really love of their celebs or influencers, either in magazines or in their phones. And then they try to find something which looks similar. So we simplify that experience to say that just click a picture and you upload it on the app. And more often than not, we are able to show you very, very precise matches of what you want. Right? So that's the other use of technology to make the discovery easier for people. That's in a nutshell about what the platform offers. And there are a variety of things, and some of you may be aware of it if you are a regular Myntra customer. But with this set of reasons to believe, with this set of very strong fundamentals, we thought we'll tell the story of the fashion expert and advisor, which I'm going to show you now. So I'm going to show you a few films, and in different orders. I'll show you a film which we did with Kiara, which is a very, very typical brand communication, but in the space that I just spoke about, but slightly more direct and slightly more talking about the brand. But then I'll show you something which is very different that we did for Diwali, and again something which is in a very different space, which we did with Bhuvan Bam, India's biggest YouTube star, but in a very fun space. And then something which we find a lot of meaning in doing with a lot of our customers and the societal impact that they are creating. That's the last one, and how fashion can play a role there. So let me start with each of them. I just want to check how much time do I have left, so I'll prioritize it accordingly.
Rita, ma'am?
Yes, sir, 10 minutes. Sorry, I was on
10 minutes. Okay, wonderful. So we should be done in then. Okay. Did you hear the volume?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay, wonderful. So let me just start it.
Like the moments that we keep living by. सितारा वीडियो कब अपलोड कर रही हो? सिंगर हो, स्टार नहीं. मेरे स्टाइल एक्सपर्ट से लेते हैं. Is that Myntra? सितारा के लिए नए से नए hand picked trends. Wow, love the
Sir,
stuff.
we are seeing PPT on the screen.
Myntra Studio पे इतने सारे influencer. मेरी favorite influencer. अब तुम्हारी style 20. Can you go back? Kiara, I love your look here. Let's photo search. This is fab. Option ज़्यादा तो नहीं है.
Sir, only, yeah, I think screen share option was not enabled. So we were seeing PPT.
Okay, just 1 second. Sorry. Can you see now?
No, sir.
Not yet?
No.
I'll just share this one. I think it requires me to share the other stuff. Give me a second, please. Sorry about this.
It's okay, sir.
Yeah. Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'll just start this again.
Like the moments that we keep living by. सितारा वीडियो कब अपलोड कर रही हो? सिंगर हो, स्टार नहीं। मेरे स्टाइल एक्सपर्ट से लेते हैं। Is that Mintra? सितारा के लिए नए से नए हैंड पिक ट्रेंड्स। Wow, love this top. और मिंत्रा स्टूडियो पे इतने सारे इन्फ्लुएंसर। मेरी फेवरेट इन्फ्लुएंसर। अब तुम्हारी स्टाइल ट्रेंडी। Can you go back? Kiara, I love your look here. Let's photo search. This is fab. Option ज़्यादा तो नहीं है ना? In all the moments that we keep living by, it's just like the 100 million stars in the sky. Life's wonderful moments, styled by Mintra.
Yeah, so this is one version. I'll show you the next one.
मामा एनिवर्सरी है, एक काम करो ना, मामी को बाहर डेट पे ले जाओ। अरे जा रहे हैं ना बेटा, वो नहीं शमशान घाट के ठीक सामने जिंदा हूँ होटल, बस वहीं जा रहे हैं। बस अब ये सोच रहा हूँ कि पहनूं क्या। अरे मिंत्रा है ना, देखो सारे बड़े ब्रांड। दर्जी के जमाने का हूँ मैं, फर्जी चीजों के चक्कर में पड़ना ही नहीं है। मामा 100% ओरिजिनल है। अच्छा क्या बात है। सुन बेटा, तेरी मामी को ये कलर बड़ा पसंद है, तो इस कलर में कोई शर्ट मिल जाएगी क्या? फोटो सर्च है ना, मिलेगी। अरे वाह, सेम टू सेम। अरे पर मेरे बैंक अकाउंट में तो पैसे कल आएंगे। पे ऑन डिलीवरी, कैश, कार्ड, यूपीआई सब चलेगा। बढ़िया। और मामी के लिए भी कुछ ले लो ना। बेटा मामी के लिए मैं ही सबसे बड़ा गिफ्ट हूँ, मुझे रिबन में लपेट के दे दे। पर अब एक्सचेंज या रिटर्न नहीं हो सकते ना, लेकिन यहाँ पे रिफंड, एक्सचेंज और रिटर्न सब मिलता है। शाबाश शाबाश। चल ला फोन दे। मामी फिर से शादी कर लेंगे आपसे।
Life's wonderful moments, styled by Mintra.
All right, so the next one now.
रिया दीदी कहती है, मेहनत और भरोसे से हम अपनी किस्मत खुद लिखते हैं। जैसे रानी दुर्गावती ने लिखी थी, अकबर के खिलाफ लड़कर, वही हिम्मत यहाँ के लोगों में है। एक मजेदार बात तो ये भी है कि हर कोई यहाँ फुटबॉल खेलता है। यूं तो टीम में सिर्फ 11 प्लेयर्स होते हैं, हमारे यहाँ 200 से भी ज्यादा है। मेरे बाबा भी बहुत अच्छी फुटबॉल खेलते थे, उनका भी नाम होता अगर बड़े लेवल पे खेल पाते तो, पर मौका ही नहीं मिला। अब मैं अपने बाबा का नाम रोशन करना चाहती हूँ और उसके लिए रोज सुबह 6 बजे हमारे कोच हमें ग्राउंड में बुला लेते हैं। रवि सर, ये हमारे फुटबॉल कोच हैं, बहुत प्रैक्टिस कराते हैं और अब फुटबॉल हमारी पहचान बन रहा है। हमारे गांव में ये बदलाव प्रिया दीदी के आने से हुआ है। इतना कि उनकी वजह से स्कूल में अब पढ़ाया भी थोड़ा अलग तरीके से जाता है। कहते हैं प्रैक्टिस करो, साइंटिस्ट जैसा लगता है।
काफी सारा भेदभाव उसके साथ भी हुआ लड़का लड़की को लेकर। तो ये भेदभाव क्या है एक्चुअली?
जब बोर्ड पे नोटिस लगा फुटबॉल टूर्नामेंट का तो सभी बच्चे बहुत खुश हुए। और सबसे अच्छी बात तो ये थी कि हर गांव से लड़के और लड़कियों की टीम को हिस्सा लेना कंपलसरी था। जैसे परीक्षा देने से पहले नई पेंसिल रबर मिलती है, बिल्कुल वैसे ही प्रिया दीदी से हमें नए फुटबॉल्स मिले थे। हम लोग तो खुशी से पागल ही हो गए। टूर्नामेंट बहुत ही टफ था। पहले तो मुझे लगा कि हम लोग हार जाएंगे, पर फिर धीरे धीरे हम जीतने लगे। मेरी परफॉर्मेंस को देखते हुए बाद में मुझे चीफ मिनिस्टर कप में खेलने का मौका भी मिला। अब मुझे नेशनल्स खेलना है। थोड़ा सा ही सही, अगर प्रिया दीदी नहीं होती तो शायद ये भी कभी नहीं होता।
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite ones. And then the last one I want to show this one.
बेटा जल्दी हाँ बहुत अच्छा लगा। हाँ
कार्तिक, क्या तेरा दोस्त आ गया?
आ गए तुम? सॉरी दीदी, आज लेट हो गया। पानी नहीं आया टाइम पे। ये मेरा है। मैंने कहा था ना मेरा है। ये मेरा है। आराम से, और मेरा तेरे वाले से अच्छा है। ये बाबा पर कितना अच्छा लगेगा ना। मैं अभी पहन लूं? अभी नहीं, शाम को। और अंजू, तुम इसे वापस पैक करके रख दो। जी? चलो बच्चों, बाहर जाकर खेलो, बहुत काम पड़ा है। कृष्णा, कृष्णा बेटा, कृष्णा बेटा चल जाना है। मैं यहाँ हूँ माँ। बन गए हैं मेरे ख्वाब सारे सुहाने, खुशियों के मन में एक तारे है बाजे। तुझे तैयार नहीं हो ना? हैप्पी दिवाली। जगमग सी लागे दुनिया, दिल नाचे है, दिल नाचे है। खुशियों के मन में एक तारे है बाजे, है बाजे। कुछ लम्हे खुशियां बांटने से ही बनते हैं।
That's about it, I guess. Happy to take any questions or any thoughts.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful presentation. And Myntra is empowering customers in true sense by addressing the issues like LGBTQ and body shaming and other stereotypes. You are really trying to change the very narrative of the sector, and that's really incredible. Sir, there are a few questions from the students who have sent us. So Nancy Khilwani, Vivek sir,
Yes,
will you?
ma'am.
Yeah.
So good morning, sir. Nancy Kilwani, PGDM student. So I would like to know that since promotion is a potential needle mover in retail, so could you throw some light on the effectiveness of promotional offers like 50% off, flash sales in the online sales conversion?
So I think, as I said, it's become a sort of a hygiene, giving the promotional offers, because there are two kinds of offers, right? Or two times you give these offers. There are 2 or 3 big discount seasons when it comes to fashion in the country. One during the or 2 end of season sales, right? There, June July period is one, and then your December January period is one. That where everybody goes online, offline, on sale. So consumers are expecting to collect a lot of value at that point in time, and it really helps drive a lot of customers at scale from an acquisition standpoint. Then there are a few big occasions, whether it is big festivals that happens typically in the October-November period. It actually starts from Ganpati, in September or late August, and then goes on till Diwali. Right, that's a big festive season across the country, and people are looking to buy clothes. And that time they are looking for great value. And I think India is a market where it's always whoever you are, irrespective of who you are, people are very, very value seeking. Right, they want the best value for money, and it's important at that point in time to give the right price to the right customer depending on their desire, and it plays a very important role in driving conversions eventually.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Before moving on to the next question, I would just like to say that there are many comments in the chat box that it was a wonderful presentation, great commercials, really nice sessions, brilliant ads, great show. And I mean, these are the messages that our students and faculty members have sent.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Next question we would like to take is from Niharika Kaswan.
Good morning, sir. My name is Niharika Kaswan and I'm from Indira Institute of Management. And my question is, what strategies Myntra has developed for rural areas to reach people?
Yeah, I think, see, we have still not gone to the technically rural areas of the country yet, because we also operate at slightly mass premium space. There is still a lot of work to be done. In fact, just to give you a sense of the market, right? It's a $100 billion fashion market in the country overall, out of which the penetration of fashion e-commerce is just 5 to 6% today. So there is a lot to be done in terms of serving even the metros and tier 2, tier 3 markets at scale. And it's a matter of time as I see a lot of this demand showing up. So, and reaching some of the even smaller parts of the country. If you see how the shopping happens today in rural India, I don't see the adoption is largely on the messaging apps. And then they have started to adopt to the video streaming apps, which have always become the first port of call beyond what they watch on the internet and news and everything. They are still, in my view, 3 to 5 years away to adopt e-commerce at scale. But that is going to happen as people get more aspirational and they get access to a lot more of these options on the table. But currently, it is not the focus here and now, if you ask me, honestly.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, there are a few questions in the chat box, but because of the paucity of the time, we will not be able to take those questions. So I request students to kindly email those questions to sir and Achin sir. I hope that's okay.
Yeah,
we
sure,
can connect
absolutely.
with you on email or maybe on your LinkedIn.
Yes, please. Feel free.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Moving on, our next speaker is Head Marketing and Creative Solutions at Google, a marketing professional with 14 plus years of experience in creating disruptive business value for global super brands like Google, Microsoft, and Samsung. Gunit sir is a specialist in discovering consumer insight and mapping them to business levels that can build massively impactful business strategies for technology business. His expertise is carrying the fundamentals of traditional marketing, media and retail into digital media across mobile, social, display, and search, and simultaneously creating innovative consumer experience, exploiting the power that only new media can deliver. Gunit sir is one of the pioneering practitioners of digital media in India. Today, sir will be sharing his thoughts on a very relevant and interesting topic, AI and the future of marketing. Gunit sir, over to you. Heartiest congratulations to Gunit sir for winning this Indira Marketing Excellence Awards 2021.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rita. I don't remember being recalled in such a glorious way as you've just done. So thank you so much. I think it sets the expectations really high. And I'm hoping the next half an hour, 40 minutes with all of you is time that's well worth spending. But I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I know as we go along, I'll be requesting some help from Vivek as we play some videos. But I'm really excited to sort of be here today to talk to all of you and the students. And while I get my screen to start sharing in around 30 seconds, I wanted to touch upon why we're here to talk about this. And please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Awesome. So really, if you look at the topic that I chose for today, it was AI and marketing. And one of the reasons I did that was very often when I get to look back and talk to young students who are on the verge of getting into the employment space, it's exciting to see, look back at what I experienced when I was there. And, around 20 years ago, when I was going through my, management education, it was an age which was what we used to call the digital era, right? So as marketers, we were getting ready for the digital era. We used to be coached and taught through guest lectures, through industry veterans who are all marketers from the TV era. And so if you think of it, there was marketers who were in the TV, who were sort of there for the TV era. Then there were marketers for the digital era. And really all the students I'm talking to today, you really will move into a completely new generation of marketing, which is what we say is marketing in the AI era. And I wanted to make sure that our conversations today would leave some thoughts for all of you, because as you will become marketers and business people in the years to come, you will go through significant change of what's required and what's coming up. And that's one of the reasons I chose the topic that I chose today. And I'm hoping that it will help all of you to sort of start thinking about what you need to do today to be ready for tomorrow. Having said that, the word tomorrow comes with a lot of pieces of trying to predict the future. And I'm very sort of wary of trying to be the crystal ball gazer who will predict what the future is. So I wanted to share this just before we started off, which is, what is the only constant about the future? So the only constant about the future is the fact that its past and present is known and nothing else. So this is not a prediction. It is just an indication of where things are going. And possibly what we think today are the right pieces for students to pick up to be ready for tomorrow. With that quick introduction, I know a lot about me has been told, but since we were talking about the future, I thought I'll kick off by sharing with you a little bit of me, which was a few decades ago. So this is possibly me some decades ago, and there is no way I could have imagined what I would have been in the future. And so that's the reality that I want all of you to sort of live with. We don't know the future. And I don't think me holding that wooden crocodile toy would have ever imagined me holding a glass of some fermented liquors later on in life somewhere. But you can reach out to me on Twitter, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, but let's try and go jump into a bit of the future. And don't get worried about it. Just take it, as amusingly as I would have possibly imagined myself in the future if I was 2 years old. Let's start with this. I'm going to take you through a journey of, time and marketing. If you look at this on the right side, which says, have you ever clicked your mouse right here? This is possibly the first display banner in the world. This is the 1990s, right? This is when the internet was coming up. People realizing, oh my God, there's something exists like the internet. It can happen on a computer. We don't need TVs and radios. And this was possibly the first display ad that ever came through. This is the 1990s. If I also rewind around 20, 30 years ago, this is where Google was. And I don't know if you've seen the Google homepage recently, but it would look very different from what it looked like 20 years ago. And so you'll notice that change is a constant, and we have changed over a period of time. This screen that you see right now, the pixelations, the way the text is also because the monitors at that time were not good enough to show text in as smooth a manner as what you're seeing today. And that's really the way the future moves. It just moves forward and you need to adapt to it. As we go through this journey of the 1990s or 2000s, and I will quickly start spending a lot more time on the 2010s and 20s because that's something that you might be able to relate a lot more to because you've been born in that time frame. And as we get to the 2010s, right, the focus was really around mobile. Now, mobiles come and completely change things because what computing earlier used to take roomfuls of computers and servers is now sitting in your hand. And that's fundamentally changed how consumers work and behave. And so the 2010s were all about marketers understanding how the mobile has changed the entire consumer experience, the consumer engagement paradigms. And I request Vivek sir to just try and play video one if he can for us right now.
Yogasanas morning.
मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इसके अंदर बहुत सारी चीजें
Thank you so much. Okay. Is my screen still visible or do I need to represent?
So please present your screen again.
Okay. I just started doing that. Okay, thank you. Please keep sharing this feedback.
Yes,
some of the things, folks, that technology still hasn't been able to manage too well, but I'm hoping it will do in a few more months from now. And you notice I didn't say a few more years or a few more quarters. I'm just saying a few more months because that's really the pace at which things move. But coming back to this video, and I don't know if if there's one word that you might have taken away from it, it was about moments. And that was the first big generational change that happened in the marketers of the TV era to the marketers of the mobile era and the digital era. And that was a shift from life stage marketing to moment marketing. So if you remember, most marketing that was done in the TV era was around big life stages. People getting into college, people having kids, people shifting homes. Those are big life stages, and most communication was directed towards these big life stages that existed. But as you went towards the digital space and information on mobiles, especially with mobiles, became instantly accessible at all points of time. You were no longer tethered to a desk or a computer to actually get to your information. It was everything that was available in your fingertips. People started shifting, and marketers started shifting to saying, how do we capture the moment? How do we not just wait for that one big life stage, which is, for example, childbirth, but everything that happens before childbirth, the anxiety, the surprise, the excitement, the preparation, and then the childbirth itself and the post, that's possibly the rearing of the kids. Each one of those was no longer this one big homogeneous life stage, but it was possibly a cluster of 70, 80, 90, 100 small micro moments, which could be reached out by marketers. And that became the entire space and movement from life stage marketing to moment marketing as we went digital. The impact of digital then, and mobile, frankly speaking, moved from what all of you are used to the next stage, which was really about how it completely democratized the entire access to messaging. What, you've heard of how televisions took ages, like decades, to actually color television to reach into our villages. Mobiles reached into our villages in 7 years. I remember the time when I joined Google almost around 10 years ago. There used to be around 3,000 phones on Android that used to get shipped every day. That moved to 30,000 and then 300,000, literally under 2 years. That's the explosive scale at which this technology moved forward. And I just want to show you the impact of this, not just on the urban population that all of us are very familiar with, the parts of life that we actually live in every day, but really how it's also taken this all the way to a rural parts of the country and across the socioeconomic diagram that exists. Vivek, can you please play the next video, which is video number 2, which will give you a reflection of how mobile's gone all the way into rural India and made a difference.
मेरे पिताजी एक किसान हैं, वो अपना ऐसे ही खेती पे गुजारा करके मेरा पेट पाला। मुझे इंटर तक पढ़ाया उन्होंने। पढ़ाई तो बहुत ज़रूरी है, पढ़ाई का बहुत महत्व है ज़िंदगी में। लड़कों पे ज़्यादा ध्यान देते हैं, आजकल लड़कियों पे कम देते हैं पढ़ाने लिखाने में। पहले हम ये नहीं जानते इंटरनेट है क्या चीज़ है, हमें देखा ही नहीं था, ना लैपटॉप देखे थे, ना टैबलेट, कुछ नहीं देखा था।
जिन महिलाओं को ये समझते थे कि ये तो अनपढ़ हैं, ये तो खाली बैठी रहती हैं, लेकिन मुझे लगता है इंटरनेट की जानकारी से महिलाओं के जो जीवन में बहुत बड़ा बदलाव आने वाला है।
गांव में ही बैठ के सभी बहन जी और गांव वालों को सारी खबरें बता सकते हैं, जैसे मनरेगा का काम है, ग्रामीण काम है, बैंक के है।
मेरे दिमाग में मेरे बच्चे इंटरनेट से जानकारी करके बहुत कुछ आगे बढ़ना है।
इंटरनेट हमारा बहुत बड़ा साथी है।
गांव में अगर हम और बहनों को सबको जानकारी देंगे तो हमारे गांव की काफी सोच बदलेगी और उसमें काफी बदलाव आएगा।
और वो पढ़ लिख लेंगे तो अपने खुद धन दौलत कमाएंगे, तो अपने पैरों पे खड़ी होकर खुद तो कमा खा सकती है, किसी के आस भरोसे तो नहीं है।
So please share your screen again. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that. It's very interesting. I remember when this program got started at Google a few years ago, we actually went down to a village which was around 2.5 to 3 hours drive from Jaipur. So it was really in the interiors. And we were sitting in a panchayat because the way to access, people within, you have to go via the panchayat. And especially when you want to talk to women, it becomes even more constrained in the villages. It has to be filtered by the men folk. Unfortunately, that's the reality. And I remember the fact that we took a few devices with us, and this was, like I said, I'm rewinding back to almost 3 to 4 years ago. And the Alexas and the Google Nests of the world were not necessarily that prevalent then. We gave the phone to this young girl who was around 19 or 20 years old. Age is typically a fluid thing in villages again, because of date of births not being very, very easily available. And we told her to go and search, and she was like, I don't know how to type. So we said, you can speak to the phone. And she took, her first search was Salman Khan pictures. After which, as soon as she got the image results, she was so excited and confident, she didn't want to give us the phone back. We ended up leaving the phone with her because she realized that just by speaking in the phone, she was getting 70-80% of the information that she needed. And it could all work for her, and she was not trained. So she was not literate. We didn't ask her to type anything in the phone. But that was a difference. And I still remember with me were a few of our folks from our California office who were still at that stage figuring out whether voice search works, doesn't work, and how to move people to voice search. And the reality is when you start with a certain surface, you don't have to move. You become naturally acclimatized to that. And this is what we've seen over the ages. People who used to work on PCs and laptops and computers struggled to start using the internet on the phone. But this generation has literally just entirely started doing their work on the phone. So for them, working on the phone is very intuitive. Similarly, the next generation that's coming up, for them, voice is intuitive. And touch is intuitive. My daughter, when she was 2 years old, used to touch our dining table because it was made of a dark, opaque glass and get irritated that it didn't respond to the touch that she had because she was used to that on the tablet and the phone. That generation just assumes everything is touch. They hate physical keyboards. Now, recently, because they're in school and everything is online, We got them external keyboards, and they're like, no, this external keyboard is so boring. I like my touch keyboard on my touchpad because I can shift. I can do my Hindi assignment, without a change. I can shift my keyboard to Hindi. I can shift my keyboard to French. I can shift my keyboard to English. And this external keyboard is so tedious. And that just shows how consumers move. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because as marketeers, it's really, really important for us to know where consumers are and what consumers you're talking to. And the fact that technology changes the complete environment in which they operate and work with. And that's the change that marketeers will always need to stay on top of. Dialing back from that larger view on how marketers and consumers change need to sort of keep in tandem, 2010s, and if I go back to the timeline, 2010s were all about mobile. But I mentioned to you that the mobile was just a reflection of computing power shrinking and coming into your hand. What could initially happen in rooms which were full of giant computers was now literally sitting inside your hand. What that also did was that it completely changed how media was being bought. So if you think of a marketeer's world is largely between messaging and media. Other than the three other P's that you know about, which is pricing, place. I'm not going to get into those, but the promotion, that P that you often still hear about, and Kotler sort of stood the time, the time frame on that on the 4 P's. He's still not irrelevant. The promotion part, which is what typically a marketing person spends a disproportionate amount of their time in, consists largely of 2 things, which is media and messaging. And as this computing power increased, it increased not just in your hands as a mobile, but it also increased at the back end with server farms, with instant calculations. And what we literally said, 2010s was the era also of machine muscle in media. And if you notice, I'm not using the word machine intelligence, I'm using the word machine muscle. So this was just huge computing power being available to do stuff at scale. And many of you would have heard of the word programmatic marketing and programmatic media buying. That's the era that this kicked in, where there were machines which were scanning the internet across thousands of web pages to see which is the web page which has a customer which is most appropriate for you. Basis your customer profile, it would bid and serve a creative that was right. All of this was happening in milliseconds. And this is what programmatic marketing and programmatic media started coming to be. But it was essentially born out of machine muscle. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with programmatic marketing and media, but I know when I talk to slightly older audiences, I tend to use this one video, and it always makes them understand what programmatic marketing and media is all about. So Vivek, if you could just also play this 3rd video, and it's not a kiddie video that I put here by mistake. It's actually meant for marketers to understand what programmatic media is all about.
The first thing you need to know about ad tech is programmatic buying. Over $10 billion will be spent through programmatic over the next year. But do you even know what that is?
No, but sounds really boring.
Well, it might be boring, but it's actually really important. You see, programmatic buying is the process of executing media buys in an automated fashion through platforms such as trading desks, ad exchanges, and demand-side platforms. The method replaces traditional use of manual RFPs, negotiations, and insertion orders to purchase digital media. You got that?
Are you speaking English?
All right, let me explain it another way. It's like buying stocks on E-Trade as opposed to having to call your broker and having her execute the trades for you.
So it's just buying ads through computers instead of people?
Well, kind of, but it's much more complicated than that.
So, if I wanted the new iPhone 6 for Christmas, instead of writing a letter to Santa and sending it all the way to the North Pole, it'd just be like buying it on eBay?
Well, yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Why'd you make this so complicated? Even an 8-year-old can understand it.
This video was made possible by the Mobile Majority.
Thank you. I hope for those of you who are not familiar with programmatic marketing and what that meant, this would have helped you. But essentially, this is really, when you talked about this entire piece of instant buys, etc., this is all machine muscle. And so as marketers started suddenly getting used to this, rather than peering over Excel sheets, which had, I'm going to spend X lakhs in TV, TV is going to get broken into X channel, Y channel, and then I'm going to buy X bit of Yahoo, some bit of Rediff. And I'm dialing back to those 8 times when these were big portals, and you used to buy media on them. You would suddenly come to a point where you would say, I want to spend X rupees. And by the way, you need to figure out machine, how can I spend that best? And that was really the entire machine muscle that started coming through. And as that started happening, it was interesting that people started wearing and saying, hey, you know what, everything about marketing seems to be just the best possible targeting. And it was spewed off by a lot of the digital agencies and digital media folks too, where they said, we can get you such precise consumer targeting, that's all that you need. Because you will talk to the right customer and they'll convert for you. And that's really a marketer's dream, right? You expose your message and they get converted. But it was also the time when just after this euphoria of machine muscle and targeting, that folks like Nielsen, and this is a Nielsen research output, which went across almost close to 15,000 studies that they did globally, which were mixed market studies, which told them that the impact of messaging, and that's what is here below at 70% on creative, was actually most important in a campaign. So everything around, which was media, targeting, all of those elements was around 30 to 40%, whereas creative was around 60 to 70%. Now this number of 30-70 keeps fluctuating between 30 to 40% or 60 to 70%, depending on which country you go to, etc. But the reality is that both media and messaging needed to play together for a marketer to be successful. And when this came into play, the first thing that was natural was, hey, let's use that machine muscle to get creative also going. And so therefore, people started getting into this machined creative space. So just like you had machined media, you suddenly get into machined creative. Now, what is machined creative? Machined creative is where you have elements like critical elements around data of the users, some creative elements that are coming together, the right consumer audiences, and they all get mashed. And then the computer or the servers at the back end actually recreate multiple elements of that creative back into one new unique creative for that consumer. So rather than imagine a world where there was one Times of India ad, which would go across the country, to, hey, let's just go to the next stage, which is I'm going to make that ad into 11 languages, to possibly shift to this place where you're saying, I'm going to make an ad for every consumer differently. Because if someone has come to that web page, basis this previous engagement history, and I know this about their age, I know this about their location, let me serve a creative which is unique to them. And so programmatic creative started becoming really, really important, which is around machine muscles. And this is the headline over there is actually from an Indian case study for a beauty brand in India, which ended up making 40,000 versions of each ad. I know you heard a bit about this in the Myntra session just before. I got a few glimpses of it. But that's really how they were doing. They were able to connect. This is my audience. She's possibly staying here. She's browsed and liked pink colored dresses in the previous time. And she's liked dresses which are long, possibly by X designer. Bring all of those together and serve a unique creative to her on the spot. Now, all of this is happening between milliseconds while your web page is loading and that banner ad is appearing for you. So that was the machine muscle on creative. And the entire marketing community said, oh my God, this is all that we need. We don't need the Prasoon Joshi of the world anymore. All we need is, we just need to get machine creative going. And so there was this huge euphoria around machine muscle in creative. But the reality is, that's not the reality, right? And machine creative can only play a certain amount of role because the machines are assembling the creative and they're assembling them really, really quickly. But who's telling them what to assemble? Who are giving them the starter points to assemble? And therefore, there's a realization that came that for human beings, even today, because we're talking to consumers, and consumers are humans right now, most of our consumers are humans. We haven't figured out as marketers how to communicate to dogs and tell them, hey, pedigree is great. We haven't reached that stage yet. Might happen in a few years from now. But at this stage, we're still talking to humans. And for humans, heart was greater than muscle was clearly something that came through. I know many of you might have seen this ad. Some of you are very young, so you might not have. But this is an ad that I made for Google Search, and it was one of the biggest campaigns for Google Search globally. And I thought I wouldn't lose the occasion to make sure that this room of almost 600 attendees that are here also gets to see this ad. But it was a great proof for a company which has been pioneering, customized creatives, digital creatives, programmatic, for that company to sign up and say, hey, emotions for human beings still work and are as critical as anything else in the entire space of marketing. So Vivek, if you could just play this video, and I promise you this is the last, so I will not trouble you more after this.
ये मैं, ये यूसुफ, लंगोटिया यार सी मेरा। लाहौर में हमारे घर के सामने एक बड़ा बाग था। उस बाग का गेट बाबा आदम ने बनवाने। रोज शाम को हमने वहाँ पतंगे उड़ानी और उसके बाद जाके यूसुफ की दुकान से झझरिया चुरा के खानी।
झझरिया?
और मेरा साहब नमस्ते। नमस्ते, मेरी पोती मुंबई वाली। और बेटे क्या हाल चाल है?
बचपन की तंग गली फिर से कूदे फांदे, छोटी छोटी मीठी चोरी गांठ लेके बांधे।
हेलो, अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
फाजिल स्वीट्स?
हाँ जी। दादाजान, दिल्ली से किसी की कॉल है।
हेलो,
यूसुफ अंकल?
कौन?
जी मैं सुमन बोल रही हूँ दिल्ली से, आपके बचपन के दोस्त बलदेव जी की पोती। याद है बचपन में आप दोनों झझरिया चुरा के खाते थे?
बचपन की तंग गली फिर से कूदे फांदे, छोटी छोटी मीठी चोरी गांठ लेके बांधे। एक पतंग सा उड़ता था परिंदों की तरह, परिंदों की तरह, परिंदों की तरह। एक दौर था मन मन मोर था, एक दौर था मन मन मोर था।
पार्टीशन के वक्त हम रातों रात हिंदुस्तान आ गए।
दादू?
यूसुफ दी बड़ी याद आती है।
कागजों की कश्तियों में डूबा रहता था, झांकती खिड़कियों में उलझा रहता था। वो भी क्या दौर था, मन पे न जोर था। एक दौर था मन मन मोर था, एक दौर था मन मन मोर था।
भैया थोड़ा जल्दी।
हाँ जी, कौन? हैप्पी बर्थडे यारा। यूसुफ वो यूसुफ, मेरे बल्लू, यूसुफ है यार।
So this ad, I don't know how many marketers and marketing brains are sitting inside this room, and future marketing brains are there, but you might have noticed that it wasn't really about the product. It was all about a story, and the product seemingly just entered somewhere along. I remember when we did this ad, this is just a bit of a backstory since I have the chance to talk to you. The ad ended up becoming the most organically, and I hate to use this word, but I will, for sake of simplicity, viral ad in the history of Google. And it, we saw views and commentary climb. We released this with the line of sun, starting from as the sun hit India, and we started releasing it along in that manner. And by the time the sun came back to India, it was a raging global sensation. So it was literally in 24 hours that it had become one of the most viewed and most talked about communications ever done. What's interesting was also the fact that this wasn't customized. It was a single ad. It was just well told. And therefore, the fact that we are humans and write stories, and the fact that our emotional components can drive the right action is a great proof from that came out of this piece of ad. Just as a broad statistic, the impact that we were hoping to have was almost and we reach almost 20% higher impact than what we were hoping to have in terms of search. Because this ad was all about helping people understand that search could be used in an everyday manner. As you might have noticed, it was about general inquiries, all on phone, and that was really what it was all supposed to do. But going forward, so what this did was really start getting us into the current decade. And I know our current decade's been very sort of painful. It's been very unsettling. But from a marketer's perspective, and I just want to keep that lens, it clearly started establishing that there is man and machine, and it's not man versus machine or man or machine, which was really the core of how marketing would sort of go forward. And therefore, this decade, and we're still in the beginning of it, and like I said earlier, I'm not going to try and predict the future, but this decade seemingly is the decade where we think it will be all about man and machine coming together. Now, why do I say that? It's because in this decade, we've moved from that machine muscle to machine intelligence. And this is something that, our global CEO mentioned a couple of years ago, that the way we are now using machines and machine learning, which is really the foundation of artificial intelligence, has reached a point where it's completely transforming everything that we're doing. And this is no longer about trying to throw trillions of bytes of data at server farms and trying to get information out of it, which was the previous era, which was at machine muscle. Where there's so much computing power, so I can just keep throwing it and I can get something out of it. And those millisecond exchanges, those ads getting created, all of that was just machine muscle. This is a very different thing. This is where machines start building the ability to start taking decisions and thinking a little bit like humans do. And I wanted to emphasize on the word little bit because they're far away from what the human brain's potential is. But they're making that progress right over there. Now, how does it make a difference in everyday life to us? This is literally the journey of, if you think of querying and the search for knowledge that we have as human beings. We had computers, we went to phones, and we're now voice. Now, it's not that voice is new, but is voice still the dominant way in which people are requesting knowledge? Not yet. But are we getting there? Yes, we are. And I don't know if many of you had a chance to experience and have conversations with either Alexa from Amazon or Google Home, but they get what you're saying most of the time. And I would still say it's most of the time, it's not all the time. But as they start nearing more of all the time, you'll notice that you're not going to start, you type. Human beings don't like effort. That's the fundamental thing. We are geared to reduce energy consumption. And if you think of Google Maps, dial down to 20 years ago, what was the way to look at navigation? And I wish I could show you, this action, but it's basically moving your right hand in an anti-clockwise or clockwise direction to roll down your window. And popping your head out of the window and saying, where can I find that location? That is what you used to do. There was effort there. Rolling your window down, popping your head out, screaming at somebody and saying, Bhaiya, ye kahan pe milega? Idhar kaise jana hai? Then trying to descriptively or understand whatever that person is trying to give you directions. That person still exists. The windows are still there. You can still pop your head out. But do you do it? No, you just go to Google Maps. It's convenient. It's low effort. You type in one location and you move forward. That's the same thing that's going to happen for everything as voice takes over and predictive sort of conversations take over. The effort that human beings will have to do will start reducing. And you will notice that as that reduces, we will automatically gravitate towards it. And so marketers, that's really important. How do you start thinking of these new surfaces, as we call, for communicating and engaging with your consumers? Because that's really how tomorrow is coming your way. This is a great example of how machine learning and artificial intelligence is sort of creeping in. You could actually look at a sign, instantly convert it into any language. Imagine if you're in France or Cambodia and you had to look at a signage. 5 years ago, what would you do? What would you do now? And that this is the impact that's happening in your consumer's life every day. This is not about Google saying this is what's happening from at media level or targeting. This is an everyday consumer, everyday experience change that's happening. But how does it challenge the marketers? For marketers, all of this artificial intelligence, etc., what is it doing? It's creating these new surfaces, it's creating these new ways of doing things. It's basically challenging your skills. 40, 50 years ago, you could have come out of B school, understanding how ads are made, possibly on film, and you could have retired with that knowledge. The only generational change you would have seen would have been black and white going to color, right? If you passed out 20, 30 years ago, you would have said, oh, I got figured out TV, but oh my God, this now plays on a computer, much more smaller screen. Oh my God, now it's playing on a mobile phone, even more smaller screen. Your entire gearing as a marketing or a brand person to shoot and the skills you have to even approve work from great creative agencies is going to change fundamentally. And this is just one example. This is an example of a leading consumer bank and a neuro research. This is research where we actively monitor the MRI signals on a person's brain while they're being exposed to ads. So you actually understand what's happening at the deep level of brain receptibility to communication. If you notice the leftmost bubble, that's the original TV ad seen on mobile. The next one was how it was optimized for mobile. It's the same frame, just a lot more zoomed in. But it's important because a mobile phone is consumed at a 1.5 feet distance versus a television is consumed at a 7 feet distance. Now that's not, so I'm not talking about the physical dimensions and asking marketers to take a meter scale, but look at the physiological and psychological impact that has on the consumer. When you see TV, you are an audience. When you're on the phone, you're in a one-on-one conversation, which means for marketers, the entire dimension of how to create messaging changes. Now, for those who passed out of marketing in the last 20 years, this has changed 3 times already, right? So you're not as lucky as the folks who passed out like 40 years ago, who just saw one transitional change in TV from black and white to color. We've seen TV, then we've seen regular computer with computer screens of 12 to 14 inches, and now we're seeing mobile phones, and possibly the same generation of marketers are going to see voice. You as a generation of marketers are going to start with mobile phones and possibly some elements of TV. But you will move on to a lot more other things. Imagine how you're going to create ads for virtual reality. Imagine how you're going to create ads for the fact that you'll have glasses which you'll be wearing in which information is going to be beamed all the time. Those are completely different screens, and how you engage with your consumers at that time will change, which fundamentally, going back to everything, means that as a marketer, your challenge is going to be skilling. The skills that you will pass out with will start you off, but they will not be the skills that will keep you going. This is the other challenge, choice. You had Doordarshan for a certain part of the audience at a certain time, if they wanted to go TV. And then you went to having 275 and then 675 channels to choose from. And as you move into digital, the biggest challenge that we see with marketers today is how many ads do we make and how many audiences do we target? TV is generally 1 or 2 audiences, 1 or 2 creatives and channels. In digital, you can choose 40 audiences. Many of the large e-commerce players who actually use digital right to the top edge have at times 2,000 consumer personas against which they target every day. So you're talking about 1 or 2 consumers for somebody like Unilever's to 2,000 consumer personas being talked to every day. So that's the other challenge that marketers have. I think the most important challenge is change acceptance. And I want to take the case of a Google product. We heard about app installs as being something that was critical in the last conversation with Indira. So app installs is a big thing for many organizations, right? Especially those who have e-businesses. App installs is a really, really important piece of marketing for them. Google launched a few years ago something called Universal App Campaigns. When Universal App Campaigns were launched, it basically said, put your money and tell us what's the cost you want each install at, and we will figure out where to show your ad, who to share your ad to, and that's it. You don't have to think of anything. The reaction from marketers is right at the bottom of the boxes. The first reaction is, oh my God, this is a crazy idea. There is no way that you can match the complexity that we can do with manual optimization. Whereas the few quarters went by, they realized there was a slow acceptance, but there was resistance. Oh my God, you just made a black box. I don't know where my money is going. My traffic that I'm getting, my app installs are useless. I think I don't get transactions from them. That was the resistance part. We don't agree to what you're trying to do. And then, Google reached a point where we thought the technology was mature, and we said, listen, if you want to be working with us, you have to move to this. And that's the part that was frenzy, where there was no choice left to a certain degree. Your choice was either to work in the manner that was new, the new ways of working, or stop working with this and continue with your own methods. And then suddenly, people said, oh my God, we're losing control. What will happen to jobs? What will happen to that agency person whose job was to sit and optimize every day for my thousands of dollars of campaigns that are getting spent to install Myntra, Flipkart, Amazon, whatever it is. And there was this huge frenzy, and it was literally like the cats being set amongst the pigeons. But then they started seeing, oh my God, this is scaling. This is working really, really well. And then finally came the realization of maturity that the skills that we needed were no longer somebody looking at saying, this is the best performing media, let me find and bid 10 rupees more to get this click and do that sort of really administrative work, but focus on, hey, what's the right message to create for my audience? Which is my audience is delivering well? What can I give to them? How can my user experience be better? How can my messaging be so much more improved? And so a lot of the tactical work that was required, which was definitely being done manually in a human manner, moved away to machines, giving humans the ability to start operating in the space which is their core zone, which is more imaginative, more creative, more emotional, which is not where machines can play a role today. And there was therefore this learning curve. Now this curve, it looks very nice. It's 5 boxes fixed on one slide. It's actually a 4-year journey. So you're talking about marketeers who are at the absolute cutting edge of their industries, taking around 3 to 4 years to really accept the change that's come their way. And that's the third marketeer's challenge. But I know I've spoken a lot, so really what's next? And this is really, I'm going to try and come and close this session. We all know that computers are more efficient than humans, but we also know that the goal of life is not just efficiency. And therefore, if there are a few things that I want all of you to take forward to say, hey, how will you be ready for the age of marketing in the artificial intelligence era? First, no, man and machine have to coexist and complement. It's not man versus machine or man or machine. There are complementary skills that exist. Learn to accept it and actually embrace change. Change is something which we've been taught to manage. And I'm sure you've had some class or read some book which says change management. Change the attitude from change management to change embracement, because you will have to embrace change for you to exist. I think the other two are really, really very core to us. And very often, many times, our schooling system, and this is not just the schooling system, I would say in India, but anywhere, our schooling system, etc., doesn't necessarily encourage this. But these are the next two are core sets of skills, which I want each one of you to sort of think about and say how you can bring into your everyday. One is about staying constantly curious. Keep finding, keep learning, and then repeat the cycle all over again. Because the reality is life around you is going to change in your career. Unlike the TV era, like I said, which was black and white to color, and that's all the change, your life is going to change possibly 7, 8, 10 times over within your professional experience of 40 to 50 years. So you have to be constantly curious. That's the reality of the pace of change. And the other piece I would say is creativity at your core. Now, creativity is not for people with ponytails who are making ads, smoking weed, right? That's not creativity. Creativity is each one of you thinking uniquely what is possible over what is predictable every day. And that's the creativity that you want to have marketers to have, to exist. So these are the 4 things I would say that you should just keep at the back of your mind as you look at how marketing is going to evolve in the days to come. And finally, don't be perplexed by all that I said. It's not like a doomsday condition. Just be more prepared. And the best thing about the future, as Lincoln said, is that it comes one day at a time. It doesn't come at a go. So you have the time to be ready for it. Thank you. That was really what I wanted to sort of talk to you all about. And I'm happy to take any questions if you have time.
Yes. Before that, thank you so much, sir. It was indeed an invigorating session. Thanks for taking us, chronologically through the evolution of media and Google, especially in the context of advent of mobile and internet. So recently there was this one viral video and with the message that in today's era, humans are getting artificial and machines are learning. But the way you narrated this man plus machine things, it has definitely demystified it. And you have helped us understand that how the perfect blend of human and technology can create wonders without losing the beauty of being human. Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed a great presentation. Because of the paucity of time, we will take only one question. So may I request Vedashri to please go ahead with a question? Vedashri.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, you're audible.
So good afternoon, sir. I am Vedashri from Indira Institute of Management, Pune. My question to you is, what changes have you seen in consumer behavior towards your marketing campaigns during pandemic, given the growth in digital services?
Thanks. I think that's a session in itself. We actually taken a lot of marketers through that, but I think there are a few things which have happened from a consumer's perspective. One, consumers are a lot more curious about doing things which they were not used to, and that's the reality. They don't want, even if it's like it could be anything, whether it's gardening, whether it's cooking, whether it's cleaning stains. All of those has jumped up because that's the everyday task that they've been asked to do as things were in lockdown, and they didn't have the usual resources they had access to. They didn't have a buy to say, oh, this chai ka nishan, just take it away, or this coffee ka nishan, take it away. They had to figure it out themselves. And so consumers actually got a lot more curious, and we saw that huge piece of jump coming up forth. I think the second piece was consumers wanted brands, and we've seen this across brands who came back and said, hey, things are all fine, don't worry, we're back to originality. Consumers did not like that. They wanted brands which were very authentic and acknowledged the fact that there was a challenge to humanity that is happening. And people are going through difficult times, and the brand is there to be with them during these difficult times. And so that tonality, which is a lot more empathetic, it did not say that you should not be hopeful, but it was a lot more authentic. That was really, really important from a consumer perspective. But just consumer behavior, it became a lot more curious.
On that note, thank you so much, sir. Thanks for a wonderful presentation once again.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to all of you, and I hope you enjoyed the session.
Indeed.
Thank you so much, Guneet. It was a lovely session, absolutely mind-boggling. Thank you. And it was very.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very glad. I hope everybody starts thinking like, taking 5% off this and becoming a lot more ready for tomorrow. That's my really hope.
Absolutely.
Madhuri ma'am, there are quite few questions that the students have put in the chat box. Maybe we can forward to Mr. Guneet.
Yes,
that would be great if we could get it.
We'll do that, sir.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Happy.
A lot of curiosity there. Thank you, sir.
That's great. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Moving on, next we have with us co-founder Shiro's Money, Mr. Vaibhav Kaju, being awarded the top 100 most influential BFSI leader award. Sir started his journey with Pidilite Industries as area sales manager, later progressed to product and process manager, and spent a year at ICICI Prudential Life Insurance Company Limited. Putting his managerial experience to use, he went on to continue his career with Dentsu Bank as a product manager for 2 years, and later on to provide solutions to the consumers in insurance industry. Sir got promoted as vice president at Religare, always willing to experiment with new ideas, and he's open to learn. And it is very evident from the fact that after graduating from the reputed University of Nirma, he took up his second MBA at IE Business School, where he made a significant contribution. Sir has also worked with leading organizations like HDFC Life and DBS Bank. He is currently the co-founder of Shiro's Money. Shiro's Money works towards building identity and providing financial freedom to the women and banking for women's future. It is home to over 20 million women who use this platform to succeed, to build a community, and to write their destiny. Today, Sir will share his thoughts on the topic, evolution of insurance. Vaibhav, sir, over to you.
Perfect. So before I start, quick question, which I've been asking all the sessions always. Audible clearly, visible clearly?
Yes, sir, very much.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Lovely session by the previous gentleman from Google. Especially the ad which he showed about old friends being caught together. And I'll not show any ads, but if you look at insurance ads, a lot of them, when they talk about specific product, actually get lost, because then you are trying to position the product. But when you look at the concept, when you tell the importance of the concept, that's when it touches the right chord, and that's very important. So jumping onto the session which I'm doing, although I'm here representing Shiro's Money, but I've spent around 2 decades with the insurance industry and the banking and financial sector. So I've split my presentation into two parts. First part would be around the evolution of insurance. That's something as a student you should be knowing, especially those who plan to make a career in the BFSI domain. Second part, I would be covering on what we are doing at Shiro's Money. That's a unique concept for India. So again, for students who are listening to this and want to make a career in the space of new BFSI domain or fintech, or maybe creating their own startup, would have some new ideas that they may hear from us. So jumping straight into the presentation, just a second. I think the screen is visible now.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So a lot of us would have bought insurance at different periods of time. Even if you have not bought, January, February, March, where we are sitting this quarter, is known as the insurance quarter in the banking and financial sector. So even if you don't buy, you would end up seeing ads on TV, ads on YouTube, or any other digital forum you are consuming your content from, or even on roads. If you go, you will see a lot of hoardings from insurance companies, because this is the quarter in which maximum business happens in the industry, be it live or non-live. But what's more important is to understand how did it come. It's not something which has come in last 5 years or 10 years, or even in last 20 years since the liberalization of insurance sector has happened in India. But what's important is to understand where did it come from and what does it actually mean. Insurance is nothing but a basic agreement between you, if you are the insured person, and the insurance company, to basically cover any kind of risk. This slide talks more of disability and death, but it could be any kind of risk which is unforeseen, and it has some monetary value attached to it. So in case of an accident or a death, for example, what it covers over here in the slide, the insurance company cannot assure you that the accident would not happen, or there would not be any death. But every peril which comes, or any unknown act that happens, leads to some kind of a financial loss. And insurance is only looking at replacing the financial loss, not making sure that the act doesn't happen, not making sure that the emotional loss is covered. But if there's any kind of financial loss that happens, it needs to be covered. So it's not something, like I said, which started today or in last 20, 25 years or so. If you look at commercial insurance, the concept of commercial insurance actually came around 5000 BC, when family and neighbors used to contribute money to make sure that there is no problem that happens in business, unknown businesses. Even if you go to small towns or villages today, this kind of basic concept of insurance is still prevalent, and it's prevalent across the globe. But when I look at then social insurance, this started, and I've categorized into 2 3 categories which I'll show you. uh, Written contract, when it came to commercial social insurance, came into play in 3000 BC in China, where Chinese merchants used to get covered through a consortium of money to make sure that there was no distribution risk. It was also making sure that they didn't eat into each other's margin or market, which led to disruption in business. Then came the Babylon insurance thing, which came around 2000 years back, or more than 2000 years back now, roughly, when cancellation of loan against shipment was being done. And this is a very interesting thing. If you look at evolution of mankind or of civilization, when trade started, trade would consume a lot of bandwidth and led to a lot of wars across the globe. And that kind of problem not happening would be making sure that there was an insurance that was covered against the cancellation of any shipment or loan that was taken. Sorry, I'll just go back. And then came the ancient Athens thing, which is the Grecian thing, and this is something what we are following right now. So today's insurance policies that are live in the market are following the practice that were evolved in Athens around 400 BC. Coming to where the Indian life insurance is and what we have done, most of us think that insurance industry in India came live as a privatization happened in 2000 when the IRD Act was found, which is not the fact. That's the new age liberalization, if I may say. 1818 was when the first insurance company came into act in India, but unluckily, it was mainly for foreigners. Sorry, I'll just go back. In 1870 is when we got a policy where Indians could buy and it was being managed by Indians, which later got merged. So if I go into the evolution chart, and that's a very interesting way of looking at it, in 1956 is when we actually got, sorry, in 1956 is when we actually got the formation of LIC going, when there were around 154 Indian life insurers, 75 provident societies, and 16 non-Indian insurers. Indira is a very famous institute in Pune, and around 200 kilometers from Indira is a place called Fort in Bombay. If you ever go to Fort and you see the buildings over there, a lot of these buildings would have names of foreign insurers who were present in India before 1956. Those real estate also got parked into LIC, but that is what led to the formation of LIC. And then the government came back in 1999 and they tried to finish the monopoly which LIC had. LIC still controls the lion's share. So out of all the policies that are live in the country, around 78 to 79% are still owned by LIC. But that has led to a lot of healthy competition coming in. And on one side, from an MBA perspective, you look at the opportunity of job being created. On the other side, as a customer, because ultimately all of you who pass out would also be customer of the same policy, you should also see that how IRDA not only has allowed healthy competition, but has also made sure that the product fit has improved a lot. So there's a lot of transparency that's come into the market, a lot of payouts that were going to agents from the money that the customer was investing have gone down, and the customers are actually getting products which are way more competitive compared to anywhere in the world. If I look at term insurance specifically, which is a pure protection plan in life, we are actually amongst the cheapest in the world when it comes to giving that kind of cover. If I take a step back and if I ask you to look at life insurance plans that existed from a pure protection perspective, let's say till 2009 or 10, we didn't have this kind of digital sale which you see today through a Policy Bazaar or any other platform. We also didn't have broad diversification of quality of life that's coming onto the book. So today we have got smokers, non-smokers, and a lot of other differences coming into the market. And I'm sure over a period of time, this will only be evolving. So if I look at a developed economy on the European front or maybe in US, they go to that level of pricing where you get pricing not only on, so today the pricing is dependent on age, gender, and smoker, non-smoker. But if you look at way more evolved markets, the pricing differential also comes on the occupational class you are in. What kind of risk does that occupation bring in? The pin code you stay in. If you are a member of a particular gym or you're living a healthier lifestyle, if you are following a particular diet, anything which improves the quality of life helps you reduce the premium on the insurance. That's how those societies work. And I'm sure India would be evolving over there. Jumping on to the next slide, insurance is, like I had covered in the beginning, it's only about making sure that the financial risk and the well-being is taken care of. And those are the things, if you look at Indian society, around 20 million or 2 crore, if I may put it, whichever way you look at it, people go below the poverty line every year because of unexpected medical expenses. So people who are living just above the poverty line, when they are hit by unexpected medical expenses, and those medical expenses could be not a very significant amount, maybe 1 lakh, 2 lakh, but suddenly that 1 to 2 lakh expense, along with the loss of financial opportunities. So if the main bread earner goes and meets an accident or is suddenly hospitalized due to maybe COVID, what we have seen in last 1 year, maybe due to dengue or due to any other ailment which he or she had not planned for, that means that 1 lakh to 2 lakh kind of medical expense plus the opportunity of earning is also going away. So those kind of medical expenses, those kind of unplanned expenses suddenly make sure that people who were on the margins lose out and actually are pushed below the poverty line. What is insurance? And this is very important. Most of us think of insurance as a product which can be sold or a product that can be bought. It's actually not a product, but more of a contract that comes into play. It works on a very simple basic principle that risk is being transferred through a pooling mechanism. How would it function? It functions in such a way that if, let's say, 1,000 people who are living in your society pool in 10 rupees each, and there is 10,000 corpus that has got created, in case of any emergency for that one person in your society, that 10,000 is given to them. So out of each pocket, only 10 rupees has gone, but that person who met with that emergency has actually got 10,000 back out of the 10 rupees. If you all just take a step back and not look at the slide for a minute, but close your eyes and look at your surrounding. If you're sitting in a housing complex, look at the housing complex. If you stay in an individual bungalow anywhere in the world, then maybe look at your college friends and their circle. So basically look at your circle around you and remember, in last 365 days, how many of these people have been affected by COVID? Now, COVID unluckily has opened the eyes of people and they have started feeling that they also can get unwell. But most of the Indians otherwise think that nothing will happen to them and their loved ones. Now, if people in your community or if in your circle had started pooling some money for these kind of emergency, there wouldn't have been any financial impact that suddenly would have hit. And that's what the concept of insurance happens. So someone who is suddenly losing out 10,000 rupees, as the previous example which I was talking about, would be hit. Whereas people, when they contribute 10 rupees into the society or pool it out together, they don't lose significantly, but they have just made sure that they have prepared for any eventuality that may come and hit them. Benefits, like I've categorically told you, are very simple, that you're pooling your risk. Now, in India specifically, if you look at it, there are significant benefits on tax as well. And insurance, at least till today, if in future things change, it may have a significant different impact, but in today, it still falls under the EEE regime. And that's something important for students to understand. What does EEE regime stand for? That stands for exempt, exempt, exempt. That means that when you're investing your money, let's say you're investing 10,000 rupees or 50,000 rupees in it. I'm talking of life insurance right now. You get benefits under section 80C. That means this 10,000 or 50,000 what you have invested, you can get a tax rebate on that. When this 10,000 or 50,000 whatever you have invested grows, let's say this 10,000 becomes 15,000, the growth is also exempted. There is no TDS which is cut on it. And life insurance plans fall under section 1010D, which means this 15,000 which it comes out is also exempted from tax. These are tax-free returns that come out. So investing into insurance products in the right way also makes sure that your investments are under the EEE regime. And that's where a lot of benefit of investing into this product comes into play. Second key benefit of the investments into this is the compounding effect. Again, all of you who are MBA students would have cleared your maths during CAT and you would have understood the power of compounding when you were studying maths at different times of your life. The power of compounding can actually be seen in insurance when people invest 10,000 in, let's say, year one, 10,000 in year two, and by the time they reach year 20 or 25, because these are long-term contracts, it's not only 10,000 which they have invested, but the compounding which has happened over a period of 20, 25 years has actually made the pool significantly large. And that's what are one of the biggest benefits of insurance savings. Here I would stop my first half of insurance related discussion, and I would just ask if there are questions. Otherwise, I'll jump into what I wanted to also cover on what I'm doing and what we are building at Shiro's Money.
Yes, sir, you can continue.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So the reason behind me jumping from a very well-established job at HDFC Life, I was head of department for digital and emerging ecosystems at HDFC Life. That meant all the new age companies and the digital sachet insurance that was sold at HDFC Life through all new age partners was managed by me and my team. But that's the time I heard about this concept, and it was on the drawing board as we speak. And we were wanting to build a financial institution for women. And this would be a full-fledged neobank, which would be serving only women for the benefit of students who are not aware or who may not be completely aware of what a neobank stands for. Neobank is a new concept for India. It's been prevalent again. I would say some of the developed economies. It's also quite prevalent in Southeast Asia, Singapore, Indonesia, and other places. These are banks which are providing all digital interface related services to customers, and at the back end are powered by different institutions. So it depends on country to country how the regulator is looking at it. In India, how it functions is women can come and open the account, and at the back end, it would be serviced by a bank or a NBFC, depending on the category of the product one is looking at. The reason we jumped into this was the fact that, or rather, what was the market and thesis was the fact that there are a large population of women who are digitally present but are financially not being served. In my stint at the credit bureau, where I was a part of CIBIL, which is India's biggest credit bureau, we saw that not more than 20-22% of population on the bureau was women. That meant there was a significant population which was not still with the organized sector, leading to the credit bureau. I have spent a lot of time, or rather, like I said, a significant time in insurance industry. In insurance industry as well, women participation on as a customer is sometimes less than 5%. So that meant when the population is at 50-50% split, uh, the participation is significantly low. That also means that there is a huge opportunity of these women who wish to do transactions through the formal sector but still are being underserved. If I look at the Bain report says that today, as we speak, there are around 16 to 20 million women who are women entrepreneurs. So what we are wanting to serve at Shiro's Money is women who are solo entrepreneurs, women who are running their own businesses and are not being serviced by the bank. So if you look at the graph on the right hand side, this is the category where women are making monthly income between 10,000 to 1 lakh and are still underserved. Women who are above 1 lakh, there are banks who want to cater to them, who already are working with them. Women who are less than 10,000, most of them fall under the Jan Dhan schemes or are part of the MFIs or SHGs, where again they are being catered to by MFIs or the small financial banks or cooperatives. Women who are in tier 2, tier 3 towns making livelihood between 20,000, 25,000 range are usually not being serviced by a bank or an MFI, and that's what we want to cater to. When we went ahead and we spoke to around 20,000 odd women in this category, what we found that women are looking for safe spaces. They are not looking at bank, they are not looking at the traditional financial sector people, because there is a loss of faith in them. Most of them think that when they go to the bank, they either would be asked for a lot of paperwork or they would be tried and sold products that they want to sell. So if you remember your days when you would have visited a bank in last few years, most of the times people from the bank would have ended up wanting to sell some kind of product, financial product to you. And that's what women are scared of. They don't want to enter. And a lot of tier 2, tier 3 women also have got a lot of family commitment, and hence they do not either get an opportunity to go to bank, or the family says that you don't go to the bank. Man of the house would manage the paperwork, you focus on what's happening at home. And hence there is a lot of pain point which is to be catered to, but it needs to be catered to digitally. And what we also want to do at our side, and hence I'll get into what we are doing from our side, we are not creating an ecosystem where we would be selling products. And that's what we wanted to show. We would be, if you look at the lower half of the deck, we would be a community first. You want to create community of different category of women. Sometimes the communities would be around the occupation. So let's say there is a home baker, there would be home baking community, there would be tutoring communities. There are a lot of tutors or home teachers across the country who are women. There would be people who are selling goods out of home. There would be category of women who are stitching clothes and selling. So there would be a lot of communities built around the occupation or around the business that that woman is doing. We would have a lot of knowledge hub created over there, not only on the category which I was talking of, but financial products. So when we met these women, a lot of them said that they want to expand their business, but they are not sure about the GST implications or tax implications or legal documentations that need to be completed. And that's where the knowledge hub would come into play. We have certain tax experts, we have certain lawyers who are impaneled, who would be providing these kind of services. So when a woman who's running a home baking or who's running a salon wants to open another salon or wants to expand the same salon and wants to take, let's say, a small loan, how does one she use that loan judicially? How does one make sure that there is no tax complication that comes with it? And how does one make sure that if one is expanding, legal paperwork is in place? And these are very small issues, but for women whom we are catering to, these small issues become like a roadblock, and they stop the expansion which they actually deserve to do. And that's what we are wanting to do. These are dummy screenshots that will be going live. These would actually be way more evolved by the time we go live. But if you see, we would have some product recommendations, but more importantly, what we want to build, and if we stick on the leftmost slide, is there would be community forums who would be there, and there would be a helpline. We also have got this feedback from, like I said, 20,000 odd women when we were talking to, that most of them are not looking at chatbots or are not very comfortable with IVRs. They would prefer a personalized helpline. And hence, we would have a personalized helpline which would be available for the customers whenever they want to talk to. We would also have video demos. We would have product, not catalog in print form, but in audio and video form, because it's very important to communicate to women in the right language. A lot of women in India, and actually men included, but women for sure, don't have a lot of financial literacy. And when you start using technical jargons, what happens is they get switched off. And that's what leads to the inability of this woman wanting to take this kind of financial step, which she should ideally take for her own growth. If you go and talk to women around you who are running small businesses, they usually take money from their family or friends because they understand them, or they take, even if you go to a slightly different strata of society who may not have money at home, and if they take the money from outside, they take from the local jeweler or someone who is running a local lending institute close by, who says, okay, ye aap 50,000 le lo and pay back whenever you want, at whatever frequency you want. You don't have to pay me every month on this particular date, the way bank EMI functions. And that's the comfort level they are looking at. They don't want sharper loans, or they do not want a loan which, the way you see today, 15 seconds and the loan is with you. Even of 15 seconds, even if you take 10 days to give the loan back, till the time documentation is very simple and the language is what they understand, they are absolutely okay. Coming on to who are we? There is a community called Shiros. It's a women-only internet platform. It's got 2.2 crore registered women on it. We have got around 40 lakh monthly active users. There are 300 plus women organizations who are our partners who work with us. And we have got a lot of women entrepreneurs on the platform who do social e-commerce on the platform. That's the Shiros community on the left. Shiros Money is what we are building on the right. That's a separate company altogether. We take the same brand identity from Shiros because that's the most trusted brand in India when it comes to women internet. These women are very comfortable talking about whatever problems they have, including financial problems on Shiros, and hence we are carrying forward the same name, although it's a separate company. Uh, Sairi, who has led this, has been actually a part of internet technology and internet-led startups since 1999. That's when she started her first startup. She started something known as Flexi Moms in 2011, which was basically creating employment for women who had left full-time jobs and taken maternity break and wanted to come back into the mainstream occupation. And that's actually been the stepping stone into this journey. 2015 is when Shiros went live from Flexi Moms. These are the three, we are the three founder slash co-founder into the ecosystem. I come with a lot of BFSI experience. We have Siddhika, who comes from the CEO's office at MMTC PAM. She has been a part of strategy teams and she has also been a part of the CEO's office preparing all the kind of new age innovations that are led. She was actually the team that started digital gold in India. So if you open any payment app like a Paytm or a Google Pay or a Phone Pay, a lot of them have got digital gold being sold. So that was the team that started digital gold in India. We are being backed by, so these are the first round angel investors slash advisors to us. These are people who come with a strong tech background, strong global presence into the ecosystem, and a very strong banking background as well. So that is in short of what we are doing. I'll leave the stage now open for any questions if you have.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. It was really a great session. Before that, I would like to read a few of the messages from the chat box. There are many actually for the appreciation. Our Director Corporate Relations, Madhuri Sartha ma'am, is saying that the community concept and council concept is so good and necessary. Tanuj is saying that I participated in an event by Girl Script organization, which is run by Anubha Maneshwar, Asia Forbes under 30, and I received a gift hamper by Shiros, women only communities, and I'm happy to share that today I witnessed the original motto behind that initiative, and kudos to this team. So there are many messages in the chat box, sir. Thank you for this wonderful session. For question answer session, we have question from Rishikesh Wandekar. Can we unmute?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
This
Hi,
is,
Rishikesh.
this is Rishikesh Vandekar from IIMP. I would like to ask you a question. What was the main idea behind running a women's best initiative?
So,
and what are the hardship faced by women-centric company?
Okay, so first on what led to this, it actually started back in 2011, like I said, when Sairi started Flexi Moms for creating employability for women who had taken sabbatical. A lot of talent pool in India actually goes into sabbatical or break after maternity breaks, and they want to come back. And a lot of organizations, if you look at large organizations like HDFC Group, TCS Group, and all of them, look at programs for women who can come back and join the main force after taking a 2, 3, or maybe sometimes even 5, 6 year maternity break. And that's what led to it. Over a period of time, what Sairi ended up seeing is there were a lot of other complications in finding employability for women. A lot of women are educated today, especially the younger lot, but do not have opportunity to join main force. So we are actually creating remote working opportunities also for them. So there is a company within Shiros called Mars that trains women, certifies women, and then we get remote working opportunities for them and create employability on that. And I think which I forgot to mention on Shiro's Money also, I'll highlight that. That's the reason we are actually building a remote first. So Shiro's Money, although it's registered in Singapore, we would have an Indian entity based out of New Delhi, but our offices would be in your own home. So we look at that way of working, that everyone should be able to choose where he or she wants to work from, and hence we are creating a remote working operations, and that was the reason to think about it. Another reason for me specifically, what I mentioned was for Sairi and for Shiros. For me, was what I saw when I have worked with CIBIL and with HDFC and a lot of other bank financial organizations, was the lack of female participation. I'll give one example over here, not to be quoted, but I'm just sharing with one of the leading insurance companies. When I was at CIBIL, we used to work with them, and they mentioned that a new product was launched, and it was about data entry. 50,000 policies were sold. And after the senior management saw the entire data in the presentation, they had to fire the person who did the data entry because all 50,000 were male. So my question and the colleague who was sitting with me was that it could be possible that all 50,000 are male. What's the harm in it with respect to data? They said the product was of breast cancer. So people who are in financial sector automatically assume that the customer would be male without realizing that the product was meant only for female. And that's a sad state of affairs in India. But most of the people are actually looking at products when they are designed with respect to the target customers. And today, unluckily, target customer is a male. So most of the products that are designed are keeping males in mind. And when you look at emotional comfort, or the way a female buys versus the way a male buys a product, is very different. So I think somebody mentioned that she's appreciating community impact. And actually, if you look at lending also, why has MFI or any other female led community grown so much in India and across the globe actually, is because women are very happy when they do any kind of financial transaction through a community. So if you look at kitty parties, if you look at any other pooling of money also that happens, they are very comfortable when they see people in their circle buying the same financial product, which usually is lacking or is not the main thought when it comes to males. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to jump into this and wanted to create some kind of propositions which are more suitable for female. I hope I've answered the first bit. Second bit is difficulties. There are multiple. The biggest difficulty which I see today is that the wish when I go back to a bank or NBFC to create products which are women centric. And most of the product managers I talk to today, sitting at Shiro's Money, and when I talk to the banks, they assume that the product which is there in the market today, just by covering it with a pink ribbon, it makes a female product. That's not the thing. There are very, very, very different product requirements that a female financial product would have in mind, which is lacking. So, in fact, most of the team that we are hiring is also female, because the empathy factor which a female would have is sometimes missing in a male. So that's one of the biggest hardship that I think.
Thank you, sir. One last question quickly we will take is from Rahul Samantra. Rahul, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible and visible?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so good afternoon, sir. My name is Rahul Samantra. I'm a student of ISBS PGDM HR batch. And I must say, sir, this was a really insightful session. And what a great initiative is Shiro's Money. And I would like to thank my institution for giving me this opportunity to ask you this question. So my question is, as a startup enthusiast, I seek your guidance whether I should start my venture right now or should I acquire some initial corporate experience?
Okay, so horses for courses is the answer. So it depends on, totally up to you. The only thing which I'll tell you is what we see, and I'm learning a lot of things in last 6-7 months since the time I've been a part of Shiro's Money's journey. Is once someone is in the corporate, and I've been in the corporate for around 20 years or 19 years now. My only thought is, if you become very comfortable with what you're doing, if you get into a mold, then it may become difficult for you to get into a startup mode. Till the time you have that hustle, till the time you have that energy to wake up every day and think ki aaj naya kya, then it's fine. A lot of people in corporate world get very happy to play within the rules of what is being offered to them. That is the biggest difference between startup and maybe a corporate world. So if you want to get some experience and then jump into your own venture, it's absolutely fine. Like I said, that zeal or that fire. And another thing which I'll share with you, the difference which I see between the startup which I'm working on now and my corporate life is, corporate life usually has got a 10 to 5, 10 to 7, 9 to 7, whatever time frame you define, opposed to which you switch off. Startup is actually a 24-hour kind of a job. It's your own venture, so you give 24 hours. But just to clarify, it's not that you work for 24 hours. You will still work for 8, 9 hours or 10 hours a day. But those 8, 9, 10 hours could be suddenly from 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. in the night, and morning sometimes you may not have any work and you can just relax for some time. So that flexibility is there, but that fire and that zeal to do something new, to learn, till the time you have that, you can come back from corporate also into startup.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering that.
Yeah. On that note, thank you so much, Vaibhav sir, for such an insightful and interesting session. The knowledge and experience shared by you will definitely help our students to excel in their career, especially in fintech and related sectors. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah. With this, we come to the end of first half of day 2 of Indira Brand Slam Summit and Awards 2021. It's now time to break for lunch. We have 5 wonderful sessions in the second half of the day, and we'll be starting this session at 2 p.m. sharp. So I request everyone to please ensure that you are logged into the meeting at 1:50 sharp. It's 1:12 right now, and we should log in at 1:50. Thank you.